Hello, I'm Vincent White, and I am an employment attorney answering a viewer question today. And this is a tremendous question, which goes as such. My employer-employee handbook, is it binding? And that's a really complex answer. So the really simple answer is 95% chance no. It's not binding. It's probably not going to constitute a contract, right? And that's really what you're asking when you're asking if something's binding. If there's so many things that go into determining if something is or is not a contract, but we're going to go with the super simple answer. You need offer and acceptance, and you need some kind of consideration paid in return for the promise, right? So in the case of an employee handbook, 9.5 times out of 10, in most jurisdictions, it's going to be found that relationship, that intent to be bound by a contract and the required elements of a contract is not going to be met. And this is super confusing for employees. Now, the employers are very aware of this, right? They're writing these really decked out employee handbooks, and they're having their defense employment attorneys write them, and they're written from the standpoint of, trying to get legal advantages and trying to show they do everything right, and also trying to dissuade people from suing the company, right? And in that last section, when they're trying to dissuade people from suing the company, they often say a lot of things they don't really mean, or they don't really intend to be held to, right? And that's a big deal, because they get to say all these things, and then when you call them on the carpet, you're like, hey, you didn't do X, Y, and Z from the employee handbook and in the process of terminating me. Yeah, we didn't. What of it? What are you going to do about it? The answer is probably not a whole lot. Probably not a whole lot. Now, that's not true if you have a collective bargaining agreement. It's not true if you have a contract, like something that actually is a contract. That's going to be a different story. But in the case of the average employee handbook, yeah, it's probably not going to be a contract. Now, that's not to say your employee handbook is not a contract. It could be. It could be, because I don't know this. Every employee handbook, every employer, every situation, they're all different. So if you have an employee handbook and you're trying to enforce some part of it, it is probably worth your time to call up a local employment attorney and go over why it could or could not be construed as a contract and whether or not it might be enforceable, right? And that's really what we're looking at. We're looking at if it's a contract, it's enforceable. You can hold the employer liable if they fail to live up to what they're supposed to do in the employee handbook, right? So I'm going to give you this really easy shorthand. It's probably not a contract is almost always the answer, but call an employment attorney, have a conversation. Any of us should be thrilled to speak with you. You're going to have to speak to a local attorney for this. This is generally going to be a state law claim, contract law, right? And it's not something an attorney generally in another jurisdiction will be able to answer for you. I hope this helps. If it does help, consider liking and subscribing. It definitely helps me to help more people just like you. And I will check the comments on this video. If you have follow-up, if you have further questions, I hope I have further answers. And I will keep an eye on this comments section and try to live up to that duty of answering you. Good luck.